So I'm using a 4.0 millimeter crochet hook, and I'm using that with this yarn, the thin yarn. You will need a wide-eyed needle and a stitch marker if you choose, and some scissors. I've chosen the colors pink, lavender, and peach. This is the brand of yarn that I'm using. Here's a close-up for you. But choose whatever colors you like. I'm going to start out by making a slip knot. I just wrap it around twice, bring the yarn over twice, and now we're going to chain 3, and once we chain the 3, we'll connect together with a slip stitch. So here's 1, 2, and 3. That's 3 chains. I'm going to go into the very first chain and grab my yarn and bring it through and go through the yarn on the hook, and that will be my slip stitch. Once you've connected your chain 3, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to go into the center of that chain 3, which is kind of hard to see with this yarn. I'll try to point it out to you. So you don't want to go in there, you want to go right in there. That's the actual center. You see there's like 2 pieces of yarn on top of that needle there. So after you do the chain 2, you're going to pick up your yarn, go into the center. We're making a half double crochet. Grab the yarn, come back through, and you have 3 loops on the hook. And then you grab the yarn again and you go through all 3 loops on the hook. There's your half double crochet. We're making a total of 11, with the chain 2 being acting as a half double crochet. I'm putting my stitch marker into the top of the chain 2 just to mark where I am. Okay. So I've got my stitch marker in there, and I'm going to continue making 10 more half double crochet into the center. So I've done 5 half double crochets so far. Just wanted you to see what it looks like at this point. And I'll make a couple more half double crochets. Again, this is the center of your flower, obviously, actually. There was the back. I'll do one more. Okay, and you see how it's shaping up. And make sure you count and have a total of 12, starting with your chain 2 where the stitch marker is, and just count the top stitches there. So we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So you have 11 half double crochets, 1 chain 2 that acts as a half double crochet. So now we're going to add the new color and make the petals, and we're going to go ahead and take our stitch marker out, and then we will take our crochet hook and go into that last, or the first stitch that we did, and then grab our new color. Now that you have your new color, you just wrap it around your hook. You see where the tail is. I'm just putting it over the hook, and I'm pulling it through both sections of yarn. Make sure you don't grab the tail, that you grab your working yarn. And then what we're going to do is a chain 2. So I've got my working yarn, and you want to chain 2. This is the beginning of our petals. So I've got my chain 2 right there. We're going to go into the next stitch and we're going to make 3 double crochets. Here's the first one. Wrap the yarn around the hook, go into the stitch, grab the yarn, bring it back through, bring the yarn back through 2 and through 2. That's the first one. Here's the next one. Wrap the yarn around the hook, go into that same stitch, bring the yarn back through, pick up the yarn, go through 2 and go through 2. That's our second double crochet, and here's our third in the same stitch again. Now we're going to do a chain 2, and then we will do a slip stitch into the next stitch. So put your hook into the next chain, grab up the yarn, pull it through and pull it through the loop on the hook, and now you've got your slip stitch. So we have done a chain 2, 3 double crochet, a chain 2, and a slip stitch. Okay, we're going to make another petal, and then I'll let you finish the petals around. So let's start off with our chain 2. And then go into the next stitch and do 3 double crochet. Grab your yarn, go into the stitch, pull the yarn through, grab your yarn, go through 2 and go through 2. All right, that's the first one. Here's the second one. And here's the third double crochet. Okay, so we had our chain 2 and we did our 3 double crochets in the next stitch. And now we're going to chain 2 again. And then you want to finish off by doing your slip stitch in the next stitch. And that completes your petal. And I want you to continue this pattern all the way around. So I'm all the way around and I'm down to the last petal. And you just do this like you did the others, and we'll slip stitch at the end. And I'm going to do a chain 2 here, do the chain 2 and then the slip stitch, and then go right back into that one, that last one right there, and do your slip stitch. So this is loose right here when I did my slip stitch, so I'm just going to tighten the back of the strings. So I've tightened it, and what I did was I just pulled the yarn in the back just to tighten that up, since I didn't cut off my ends and weave them in, which you probably want to do because that's kind of messy, but that's all you have to do if it comes loose like that. All right, we're going to weave in our ends, and then we're going to make the stem with the leaf. All right, so we're going to just cut the tail and pull it through. I like to do a chain and then pull it through and then tighten it up. And then we're going to weave in the ends, and that's where I'm going to put my stem actually as well. All right, I'm cutting off the loose ends of the yarn and I'm going to weave them in, and then we're going to make the stem. So just get your needle and I'll show you how to weave them in. All right, we're going to weave in the ends, and this is how I like to weave it in. You just want to catch a few pieces of yarn. This yarn is cotton and it's very thin, so it's a little bit more difficult to work with, but you just want to go through a couple pieces there and just pull your needle through and go back the other way, and that should be enough. A lot of times I'll do it 3 times, but this time I'm just going to do it twice and then just cut off the excess. So I went in one direction, I came back in the other direction, and now I'm just going to cut it off. And then you'll just do that with the other pieces of yarn that's left over. All right, so I noticed that in my flower that little piece of orange is sticking out. I'm going to make this the back of my flower, and we're going to attach the stem right there. But the front has a little piece of that orange sticking out, and I don't like the way that looks, so I'm going to clean it up a bit, and I'll show you how I do that. So I cut a piece of purple yarn, and I folded it in half, and I'm going to put this end into the eye of the needle, like so. See how I've done that? Now I'm going to pull it through a little more till I've got it dangling at the end there. Now I'm going to take my flower, and I'm only doing this because I want to cover up that little orange piece there. This may not happen to you, but if it does in any project, you can do this. So I'm just bringing it through, and I've got my loop on the back side of my flower, and I'm just going to put the needle through that open loop there. Sorry, that got a little messy. Let's see here. There we go. All right, see, I went through the loop, and I'm just pulling it tight. All right, so I'm covering up that little orange piece that was showing, and I'm going to go back through again. And then I'll just turn it over, and I'll just weave in like we did before. See, that helps cover up that little orange piece. I didn't like the way that looked. And of course the back side I don't care because I'm going to attach my stem there. So I'm just going to go through once or twice here just to finish off. Okay. All right, now we're going to make the stem, and the first thing you want to do is make a slip knot. And keep it loose. And then we're going to take the hook So you want to put the hook on the back side of the flower underneath one piece of yarn and grab your stem yarn. Put the slip knot on top of the hook and go ahead and tighten it up. And then we're going to bring it through that piece of yarn. Just do a slip stitch here. And just pull it through. And now we're going to chain 52. So we're going to have a chain of 52, and I'll start it off. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the beginning. And I'll show you how to weave in the back once we're done. All right, so do 52 chains, and I will meet you at the end of the 52 chains. So now that you've done your 52 chains, we are going to make the leaf at the very bottom, and we're going to go into the back part of the chain right along there to start our leaf. And then what we will do is turn our work. Let me show you the back, what I'm talking about. we're going to go into that back loop. Then we will turn our work and we will work down the other side on the other side of the back loop. So let's start in the second chain from the hook. Right there, and we will do a single crochet in that second chain. So we're going to do a single crochet in that second chain from the hook. Insert your hook, grab the yarn, bring it through. Grab the yarn and bring it through 2. And then we will go into the next chain and we're going to do a half double crochet. So in the next chain you want to wrap the yarn around the hook, go into that next chain, grab your yarn, come back through, and grab your yarn and go through the 3 loops on the hook. So there's your half double crochet. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets, 1 in the next 2 chains, a double crochet in the next 2 chains. Pull up your yarn, go into the chain, pull up your yarn, come back through, pull up your yarn, go through 2, and pull up your yarn and go through 2. Now we're going to do that again. Pull up the yarn in the next chain, pull up the yarn, bring it back through, pull up the yarn, go through 2, and pull up the yarn and go through 2. All right, now we're going to do our half double crochet again. Into the next chain, pull up the yarn, go into that next chain, pull up the yarn, bring it through, pull up the yarn, and go through the 3 loops on the hook. And now we will do our single crochet. Go into the next chain, pull up the yarn, bring it through, pull up the yarn, and go through 2. So we did our single crochet, our half double crochet, and a double crochet, half double crochet, and a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work around, and we're going to work down the other side of the leaf. So that was the first half of the leaf, and now we're going to do the second half of the leaf and finish it off. So turn your work around, and we're going to go into that chain right there. So we're going to do the same pattern again, like we did on the other side. I'm going to go in and make your single crochet, and then we're going to do a half double crochet, here's your half double crochet, and then 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 2 chains. Sorry, the video got a little blurry there. That was our second double crochet. And then we want to do our half double crochet, and then we'll end it with a single crochet. And there's the last one there, the single crochet. So now you have your leaf, and we're going to make the vein down the middle. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do a slip stitch to connect it to the end of the leaf. And now we're going to slip stitch down the center of the leaf, and it looks like it'll take about 6 or 7 slip stitches. And I'm holding the stem itself because I want the chain look to look the same. You'll see what I mean in a minute here. So go into just a gap there in the center of the leaf and pull your yarn through and just slip stitch it. You're just going to pull it through the yarn on the hook, and there's a slip stitch, and you just go in to the next one, do the same thing, and you're just going to slip stitch all the way down. And just continue doing that. I'll meet you at the end of the leaf. So you see how the vein looks in the leaf. And I've got one more stitch to do right here. And then I'm going to attach it to the stem. So I'm going to go right into the stem here to kind of finish it off. And just pull it through. All right, so now I'm finished with the leaf. I'm going to cut the tail, and I'm going to do a chain 1. There's my chain 1, and just pull it all the way through and tighten it up. And then I'll just weave in the end. So we're going to finish up here with the flower, and I made sure the chain was twisted around so it kind of matched the edging of the flower. And you just want to take your needle and just start sewing in on the back side. I actually took a couple of stitches and finished off with the loop at the end, and just put the needle through that last loop to make it more secure. And just cut it off, and then you will be done. All finished. And you have your pretty flower bookmark for yourself or as a gift.